Hey man, how you doing?
Sorry, it's been difficult to set up. I've just been crazy busy since I got here, and I'm doing interviews. But I'm doing interviews for the rest, like for other gigs too. It's not just for Seattle. So I got interviews to do for Dallas and Austin. I got stuff to do for the Arizona gig. So it's just been kind of hectic to put anything down.
Oh yeah, no, I completely understand. Thanks for taking the time to do it at all.
Sure, sure.
How was Iceland, man?
You know, it was nice. It was one of those things where I only went away just because I wanted to spend time with my girlfriend. It's literally, I don't vacation at all.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where, I mean, it's not the ideal place to go, but I wanted to see Bobby Fischer's grave. So I was like, fuck it. It was fun. I'm glad I did it.
That's awesome. When you actually tweeted to somebody you're going to the Phallological Museum, I honestly thought that was a joke until you posted pictures of it.
It was one of those stupid things where people would recommend it. But after 6 days in Iceland, you realize there really is not much to do here. After you see dead Bobby Fischer, you're like, all right, what do I do? We're like, all right, let's just go to the Dick Museum. We just did it because there was something to do, you know?
Yeah. You've said in the past that you've wanted to do a show that was maybe semi-autobiographical, and with so many venues to do that, what do you think that would look like?
Do you mean like a one-man show?
A one-man show, or like a TV show that you would like to have on the air?
You know, I don't know. I mean, every time I think I know what I want to do on the air, or TV show, if I write something, a week later I don't like it, or I get bored with the idea of it. So I honestly don't know. I mean, every comedian thinks that we're interesting enough to just follow around with a camera. I mean, every person thinks that.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I can't even give you a smart answer on that. I don't know what the answer is. Like, I think I would know it when I saw it, or when I came up with it. But then I start doing something like doing a Chip podcast, and I'm having so much fun with that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm going to do obviously other things, but like I'm enjoying that more than almost anything I'm doing right now. It's just so stupid and so much fun. So, I don't really care about the other stuff now. Like that, I'm just enjoying that more than anything.
Yeah. When things like the Chip podcast or the UFC came up, was that kind of your brainchild, or did that just the opportunity just presented itself?
Well, both. I mean, the Chip thing, I walked in a comedy cellar and Bob Kelly and his partner Rob in Riotcast goes, "Hey, Chip, want to do a 15-minute podcast?" And I'm like, I don't know why, but it felt right. Like, I had animations that I had wanted to get done, and I'm like, this way I could kind of kill two birds with one stone, and I could kind of go in certain directions I think it'd be fun to animate. So I just kind of was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an accident, and Dana White just called me. And he goes, "Hey, man, you want to do the UFC podcast?" And I'm like, yeah. He goes, "I'll do Matt Sarah." And I'm like, absolutely. It was that simple.
That's great, man. I think you're probably one of the busiest comics that I know of. And of course you co-host with Sam Roberts on SiriusXM. What do you like about the energy of that kind of partnering as opposed to when you're with O&A or just Opie or just Ant?
Well, with Opie and Anthony, I mean, look, man, I don't know if I'll ever do a funnier project than that in my life. Like, when the three of us were in the room with the comedian, when it wasn't bad, when it wasn't uncomfortable or shitty, it was a lot of fun. We had those crazy interns. We had Pat Duffy. We had David, when Sam and Travis were a part of the show, when Danny Ross was a part of the show. Like, there were some really funny guys involved with our show. Steve C. And I don't know if I'll ever find that combination again. I mean, it's hard to find something that makes you laugh so hard. Anthony and I have remained very close.
Yeah.
He's still one of my closest friends. He does a lot of the Chip podcast. We are finally allowed to have him back in the building. I've worked for 3 years for that. And I go on his show, and Sam goes on his show. Opie and I have no relationship. We haven't spoken in a year. Right.
That's incredible, man. You're known for being very open and honest in your stand-up and in radio, and your experience when you're younger with like drugs and alcohol is very well documented. But asking as somebody who's never smoked or drank or whatever, I'm wondering, how do you think your life now would be different had you never gone down that road?
Well, I'm a compulsive idiot. Like, would I have lived for a few more years? Yeah, of course. Yeah. But what's worse than just the idea of, like, okay, you're putting a substance in your body, it's like you're living in fear all the time. Like, you're always afraid. You're always, like, I'm insecure now.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, it was helpless and hopeless. And, like, I never thought I would ever do anything. I had no groundwork or foundation to, like, actually just go out there and accomplish anything. So had I not gotten sober, I don't think my mindset would have ever changed, which is the most important thing. Even if I could have lived another 10 years drinking, getting high, and starting comedy, I wouldn't have had the courage to start comedy. Because I'm cowardly now, but I was literally paralyzed with fear when I was a teenager. So I don't know how that would have improved. You know, my life would have been, had I not stopped, would have been, I probably would have just got a job that I hated, and I would have just fizzled out eventually.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been some melodramatic, Selma and Louise off a cliff with a car, but I do think that it would have just fizzled out. And I would have had no courage to pursue what I wanted.
Yeah. You don't think that you would have ever been able to overcome that fear without having first gone through that?
I don't know. I know without getting sober. I don't know. I mean, I can only go as that frame of reference because this is the way I did it. What happens is, like, when you're in that state of mind, like, you just keep putting shit off. Like, yeah, I'll do it someday, and that's why guys are 40 and come up to me, and they'll go, I was going to do comedy, but then there's a million reasons people don't follow what their dream is. But for me, I have enough of a hard time. I stagnate now in my life, and I'm fairly healthy. I mean, if I wasn't healthy, I would do nothing but stagnate. Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anything good I've accomplished now, I would never have attempted to accomplish back then. It just gave me a framework to live and to at least attempt things and not just wait for things to happen. Like, my career is okay, dude. It's not fucking amazing. It certainly doesn't suck. But one thing I say about myself that I feel good about is my work ethic. I have a good work ethic.
Yes.
I go to work. I go on the road. I do the podcast. I show up for the UFC thing. I do stand-up almost every night. I'm always trying to create new material. I'm always trying to shoot a special. Like, I have a decent work ethic. And that I never would have had. I never would have had that without stopping what I was doing.
That's good, man. I'm glad that you're healthier since then. And my girlfriend and I were actually in New York a couple of years ago, and we were eating above the cellar, and you were on a table behind us, and I part of me wanted to just go over and say, "Oh, good, you're eating healthy."
Oh, you could have.
No, I don't like interrupting people when they're eating. It's uncomfortable. I've met a lot of people, but it feels too much of an invasion for me.
Okay.
I was listening to some George Carlin clips last week, and he's the one who made me want to perform. And in his actually 2007 interview with you guys is how I discovered you, and he hit on something that you've picked apart for a bunch of years, which is how you could always expect suppression from the right, but it's come from the left who are now kind of leading the charge on that. How do you think that shift happened?
It's funny. That was something that I had thought even before that interview and when we talked about. But when Carlin said that, I remember that interview. I mean, he was wearing a baseball cap. He was saying, "I hate to say it, man, it's coming from the left." I believe he was in studio. I'm almost positive that he was in studio at K-Rock. Hearing him say that cemented, like, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this genius says the same thing. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not a fucking asshole. I'm not being a paranoid little faggy comedian. I'm right. It really is coming from the left because Carlin was one of the most progressive comedians of all time, and he's saying it. So that really made me feel good about my own judgment when Carlin said the same thing I'd been thinking. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You never trust your own judgment as much, but when the guys I admired and basically worshipped said that, it made me feel good. And I'm sorry, what was your question?
I'm just wondering, how do you think that shift from the right to the left happened over the years?
Because the right and the left are the same. The people are the same. Americans, and maybe it's all Canadians and the British too, but we're all narcissistic. And what happens is everyone wants the world to be their way. We all want the echo chamber where we get the news that we want, the comedy that we want, the opinions that we want that's comfortable for us. So the left and the right are no different. I think that I think over time the left kind of became more of what they hated, and I don't know why that is. Maybe because the left changes a lot more than the right does, because the left is typically made up of younger people. So younger people are always cropping up, and 13 to 25. But when you're from 40 to 80, you're the same. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah.
The left has a lot more new blood coming in, so their opinions and their ideology flips over on its head a lot faster than conservative ideology does, because conservatives are typically 35, 40, 45 years old, and they kind of stay consistent until they hit 75 or 80. Whereas the younger people are constantly coming up and flipping over the ideology of the left.
That's
you're telling, people who are coming up now are saying that RuPaul is bad because RuPaul says tranny. And it's like, okay, you don't have to like that word, but I hate to break it to you, but RuPaul fucking blew the door off so you can get through it. So go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? The RuPaul, who was seen as really progressive, is now being considered transphobic, which is just ludicrous. so that's why it seems like the left eats their own a lot. That's because younger members of the left not only attack the right, but they attack members of the left that were there 10 years ago who don't say things exactly correctly.
That's true. That's actually a really good point. I've never kind of thought about it like that. And what you're saying is, kind of people, as they age out, kind of age into that system. And now they're kind of just both very reactionary, knee-jerk kind of thing going on. But
they're the same people, though. It's the same arrogance. Arrogance,
Yeah. I have a couple very weirdly specific questions about some of your specials, but it's been bugging me. I'm like, I have to ask this. When you filmed American Degenerate for Epics, you were at the mic stand the whole time, rather than you walking the stage like you normally do. Was that a conscious decision?
I go through periods with the mic stand and without it. Honestly, there's no reason for it other than that was how I was doing that tour.
Yeah.
Because I got bored walking around with it. I was just, at that time, more comfortable in front of the mic stand. I go back and forth with that. There's a lot of times where I'll start working on material. I do it with the mic in the stand because it centers me and it forces me just to kind of, there's nothing distracting with the movement. And there's no reason for that other than at times I work on material that way. And then I wound up going out. I guess I had just been bored with other movements, and I just kind of kept it in that time. But there was zero greater reason for it other than the fact that that's just what I was doing on that tour.
Okay, that's interesting, because you typically only see comics kind of doing the same moves on stage no matter what the material is they're doing.
Yeah, you just go through, when you're doing something every night, to break it up, you have a different feel. You know what I mean? A different this, a different that. And, there's no... again, whatever I feel is what I do. Sometimes I leave it in the stand, sometimes I take it out. It really depends.
Fair enough. And in Mouthful of Shame, you highlighted the A in red, and in a Time article about Halloween costumes being offensive, which is another kind of left issue, you referenced Hester Prynne. Are you a fan of the Scarlet Letter?
I didn't like it necessarily, but I highlighted the A in Shame.
Yeah.
Because obviously it seems to fit. But it was also because shame is what is the greatest. I wanted that to pop because it's obviously the greatest fear we have. It is the cause of almost all of our troubles. It's the cause of all this politically correct garbage and the need for it. And everybody is fighting shame.
Mm-hmm.
We're ashamed of our sexuality. We're ashamed of our bodies. We're ashamed of our opinions. Everyone's ashamed of everything. And yet what we love doing is shaming everyone else. It's fucking hilarious how idiotic we are.
That was a great special. I think I saw you twice on that tour, once in Seattle and once in Portland, and great shows.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Besides this tour and the UFC and Chip and everything, are there any upcoming projects that you can talk about, or?
I'm trying to think if I have anything. I don't know if I really have anything. Other than this tour, this tour right now is what I'm doing. Then of course there's the Chip thing, the UFC thing, the radio. There's nothing new that I'm doing other than that. Like right now, those are the things I'm working on.
Yeah.
And you can only do so many things at one time before you start fucking up and not doing any of them well. And I'm writing forwards for 2 books for people I know.
Oh wow.
So, and I can't say who, only because I don't know if they've been asked to their books yet. Just friends of mine, but still, I'm happy to be doing it.
Sure, yeah. You've already given me enough time as we agreed. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you of an interview you did on Mike Merryfield's Irrelevant podcast a couple years back. And I don't have to try to have moments or anything on this show, but you did say that you had felt like you had been screaming for 20 years and nobody had heard you. And
Yes.
I've dealt with depression all my life and blah blah blah, but that really summed up an intangible that I felt I couldn't express until somebody had put it in those words. And back in 2012, you sent me an email encouraging me to perform stand up. And honestly, you really are one of my personal heroes, and I love your work. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I'm really looking forward to the show tonight, man. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, man. That's nice of you to say, and I really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope tonight's good. I hope so. I'm actually going over material now and just getting the order down, and then I got to do more phoners. And this was fun. I enjoy talking to you.
Oh, thank you, man. Again, and I'll see you tonight. I'm up front. I was able to snag front row tickets, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, man. I will see you tonight. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Have a good evening.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, holy shit to both of my listeners and to Dad, who's in the hotel room right now as well. Hi, Dad. Do you want to be on the podcast? No, okay. Dad says no. Yeah, that was our interview. Holy shit. Yeah, like we sort of implied that Jim had a fairly limited schedule. He's doing press all day, like we said. So right now I'll plug some of the stuff. He's currently on the Kneeling Room Only tour, and let's look at the dates. All dates are on sale now. Tonight is the first night in Seattle at the Neptune Theater. Tomorrow is Portland at the Aladdin Theater. I that's where I saw him last time. Pardon me, in last year, and God, his tour extends all the way pretty much until into the next year, until February. Go to jimnorton.com and you can find all his tour dates on there. He's also got, I think, yeah, he's got some dates in the UK, in England, Ireland, and wow, he's fucking all over the place. Holy shit, I'm still slightly giddy. So I'm glad that happened, and thanks to anybody who listened.